Turner he's very humbling because he doesn't like to talk about this, doesn't like to talk about what happened, and he just brushes it off like another day.
April 3rd, 2015, we were driving northbound on I-35. After passing a semi-truck, I looked in my rearview mirror, I just saw a fireball. So I made a U-turn and I got back to one of the semi-trucks that was on fire, and I could see the driver in the cab of the truck. The top of the cab was sheared off, so I could see him pretty well. He was alive and semi-conscious.
He was moving, but he couldn't speak or, like look at us. So I don't know how much he was conscious, if he'd hit his head or anything.
So at that point, I made a decision that I was going to make an attempt to get him out of there. I realized I was going to need a fire extinguisher in order to gain access to him, and I didn't have one. So I do remember passing a car hauler, and I saw the car hauler behind the two trucks that were involved in the wreck. So I went there knowing that they would have to have automotive type grade fire extinguishers, and that's when I met Jason.
I mean, there was debris everywhere, and at that time, in my estimation, I thought it completely blew the truck apart. I didn't think that there was probably anything left. I immediately threw ours in reverse and started backing up. The explosion and the fire was so intense that I knew I wanted to get out of there. Anyway, coming across this bridge right there was this guy just waving his arms like crazy, and so I stopped, quickly told me that he said, I could see the driver and the driver's still alive. Do you have any fire extinguishers, was his statement. And I said, yeah, we have two.
So Jason and I grabbed some fire extinguishers and we went back up to the cab of the truck.
And there was kind of a moment when we were jogging up towards the fire. I mean, it was pretty intense, where I kind of hesitated, looked at him and said, are we really going to do this? And he said, I think we have to try, don't you? And I said, yeah, I guess. And so we continued on up towards the truck.
And that's right about when the tank exploded.
It was the loudest, strongest shaking I've ever felt, and miraculously I was fine. And then my next thought was, well, where's Turner? And I start looking around and I see him getting up off the ground, brush himself off, he stands up. Okay, he's all right, I don't see blood. And I'm like, wait, there was another guy. So I look around and I see him on the ground, and I start to go towards him, and he just looks back at me and he yells, I can't move. And I could see blood just pulling out of his leg, and he had his hands covering his leg.
Where I had a big hole in my jeans the size of bigger than a softball, a little smaller than a cantaloupe probably. I stuck my hand inside the wound and could feel the arteries pumping on my hand, and I pinched them off as best I could, and immediately started just started talking to the Lord and started, praying. I heard somebody yell from up on the hill, and I looked, and it was my little buddy that had come to get the fire extinguishers first, and he yelled down to me, and he said, can you crawl out of there? And I said, no, I've got my hand in my leg here. When I try to roll over, I'm going to bleed out. He ran down there, picked me up. He's small. I'm like 225 pounds. He picked me up and fell back down, picked me up and fell back down, and we weren't having any luck. He said, I'm going to go get some more help. Just sit right here. When he left to go get help, I honestly believed there was no way he was coming back. In fact, I was sitting there thinking to myself and praying, Lord, if I was this guy looking at this scene, I'm not sure I would come back down in here, especially after getting blown out of that area one time already. He showed up with another guy, later learned it was an off-duty fireman named Ronnie, and the two of them just said, man, just hold on to those arteries, just keep your hand in your leg, and we're going to drag you out of here. And they drug me up over the hill to safety. They immediately did the same thing I was doing. They started applying pressure. It wasn't working. Ronnie at some point, I believe, had said, this isn't working, he's going to bleed out. And Turner said, I've got a trauma kit in my truck, it's right down there. And in it was a tourniquet that they immediately applied. Blood was still coming out everywhere. He pulled out the combat gauze, and they packed, I believe, 3 rolls of combat gauze. it was really cool that Turner was there and that he had all of his stuff. The vascular surgeon was the first one to come back in after my surgery, after they put me back together. And she immediately said, man, I don't know who who packed your leg and who applied the tourniquet, but they didn't just save your life, they saved your leg. So that was pretty cool. It's fortunate for me that he had everything with him. I mean, it just blows my mind. I don't carry that kind of stuff. Turner's currently making trauma kits for us at Team Faith and for our church, and wants to come up and provide the training because he believes so strongly that we all should have the proper training and have something like that. But who carries that stuff?
Medical is one of his hobbies. He's getting ready to start as a EMT, like lab assistant, instructor. He's always teaching other people about medical gear. We've gifted a lot of people like go bags. So it's kind of his hobby, I guess.
Had I not had that experience with applying tourniquets in combat guys and taking that class, I don't know that I would have been prepared for that. May have been a completely different outcome.
Do you think Turner is a hero?
I do think he is. I've never seen somebody be in a situation like that, react the way he did, stay calm, cool, and collected, and then be as humble about it as he is.
Do you think that Turner sees himself as a hero?
I hope deep down he does, because I hope he knows what he did. But no, I think he just thinks it was another day for him.
Heroes eat less cheeseburgers and run and are fit and active, and I think superhero, I think like Captain America or something. I don't think me, but that's just the way I look at it.